Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. The Crown returns for its final season today with 4 episodes, which will be followed by 6 more on December 14th. Series creator Peter Morgan told Variety it was never his intention to explore how Princess Diana died or the conspiracies surrounding her death. Morgan said, "This was never going to be a story about how did she die. The police inquiry sorted all that out. We were never interested in that. It was always about what was the impact on the family before and after her death. What was the truth of the nature of her relationship with Dodi Fayed?" Elizabeth Debicki, who plays Diana, added, "It's a tricky conversation to have because you can't say something like legacy because it's not. It's an intelligent drama. But at the same time, we know that we're dealing with an audience's blend of real-life memory and then an invention in the television show. We did tread with as much respect as we possibly could have had, and that I know for sure. So I'm glad because when I watched it back, I realized what a serious thing it was to make. I would honestly say I wasn't sure what it was going to be before we started. There was this real sense of relief to find a sort of human that you just like to be around, which is what everybody's looking for in life. I think we know our interpretation together was to portray a relationship where 2 people, under really unusual circumstances, fall into a realization that this person makes you feel good about yourself, and that's worth sort of chasing." The New York Times wrote that the images are joltingly familiar even after all these years. In one, reproduced with eerie accuracy, Diana sits on a diving board on the deck of a yacht, her long legs dangling above the water. In another, she embraces her new boyfriend, Dodi Fayed. And in a third, taken from a security camera, the couple rides in an elevator at the Ritz Hotel in Paris en route to their car late one August night. We know too well what happened next. The Times points out how the new season echoes the 2006 movie The Queen. The new season shows Elizabeth fretting about whether to stay in Scotland with her grandsons after Diana's death. Similarly, the New Yorker observes Morgan's innovation in 2006 was to tell a story from the point of the view of the Queen herself, or at least her imagined point of view, the actual Queen not having given her account of events. A counterpoint was provided by Tony Blair, the innovating new Labour Prime Minister, played by Michael Sheen, who served in the film as the Queen's conduit to understanding how Diana was cherished in death, as in life, as the people's princess. In Blair's own apt phrase, Morgan treated his version of the Queen with empathy that the real Queen had failed to demonstrate in the moment. But the New Yorker points out in the new season of The Crown, Morgan has switched the perspective. The events of August 1997 are no longer seen primarily through the eyes of the Queen. Instead, he has foregrounded the irresistible Diana as she spends what turns out to be her final few weeks. Annie Sulzberger is head of research for The Crown and told The Times, "People who lived through Diana's death feel a sense of ownership over that history, a sense of participation which can colour their perception of it. With recent history, you're constantly battling with people's intimate and personal perspectives. If there's a documentary, we watched it. If there's an article, we read it. If there's a book, we have it." The Daily Mail's Richard Kay is of the opinion, "This is in the realm of fantasy. It's just, what can I say, it's speculation. Dodi was a quite gentle, sweet sort of man, and I suspect he was very attentive. It wasn't just the trappings that made him attractive, the jets and the yachts, but Diana quite liked the ordinariness of the family life Al Fayed had with his second wife and younger children." The New Yorker writes, "Focusing on Diana in 2006, even if Morgan had tried to, would not have been possible. As Mirren said in an interview at the time, it's a hot potato in England. You cannot go anywhere near the subject without being under the most intense kind of scrutiny. Diana was the hottest potato of all, but times have changed and tubers have cooled, which means that Morgan can take his second run at the subject from a different orientation." Collider reminds us where we were when we last saw the series. The 5th season picked up with an older Charles whose marriage to Diana has completely deteriorated. The couple is at odds with each other constantly as they both feel unfulfilled by the nature of their service. Diana feels that life under the spotlight of the media gives her no proper way to raise her children and does not feel like she fits in with the traditions laid out by Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Charles feels that he should be helping to shape the country as a modern nation so that he can succeed as king. He's also still madly in love with Camilla. By the end of the season, Charles finally pushes for an official divorce the following year, and there is new potential love in Diana's life with Dodi Al Fayed. More detailed spoilers for the new season with descriptions of specific scenes after the break. Spoilers ahead for specific scenes in the new season of The Crown. The New Yorker writes, critics who animadverted at the depictions of Diana's bulimia in Season 4 will be bracing themselves for unsubtlety when it comes to the car crash that caused her death. But Morgan renders it as delicately as possible at the outset of the first episode, as seen through the eyes, or rather heard through the ears, of a Parisian dog walker by the Pont de l'Ama, who is surprised by a fast-moving car with paparazzi in pursuit. Although Morgan eschews the sight of tangled metal, he depicts the events that followed more intimately than he did the first time around. They also compare Charles' reaction in The Queen to the one in The Crown. If one of Diana's legacies to the monarchy was to establish an expectation of greater emotional openness, the fictional representation of Charles has undergone a similar transformation. In 2006, Prince Charles could not possibly wail. In 2023, how could he possibly not? The New Yorker also anticipates more controversy, writing, critics of The Crown who have decried Morgan's willingness to put made-up words into the mouths of living people will have a whole other level of conniption when they learn what he's done in the mouths of the dead. Diana died at 4 a.m. Paris time on August 31st, 1997, but Morgan, it turns out, could not bear to leave her alone there and then. And neither could the British public, who turned out in a crowd that numbered more than 1 million to watch her hearse depart her home at Kensington Palace, and neither could the estimated 2 billion people worldwide who tuned in to watch her funeral on television, and neither more than a quarter century and 6 seasons of The Crown later can we. Turning our attention to the real-life royal family, an insider tells The Telegraph that Harry's phone call to Charles went well, claiming both sides have a desire to bury the hatchet and start to mend their relationship. The insider told The Telegraph, as the King joined close friends for a birthday dinner at Clarence House on Tuesday night, he will undoubtedly have felt a weight lifted from his shoulders. Today, those on both sides hope that instead, Prince Harry's olive branch on the King's birthday marked a genuine turning point, offering an opportunity for both father and son to move forwards. One report suggested that Harry and Charles plan to speak again next week. The King also received a birthday video from Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet via a pre-recorded video. William and Kate were seen out late as they departed the Clarence House party close to midnight. The Daily Mail went into Kate's wonderful mode, telling us, dressed to impress, oozed elegance in an emerald needle and thread, Alicia sequined embellished, recycled polyester gown. Oh yeah, William wore a white shirt and jacket. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or your app of choice. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.